This original WSRE presentation is made possible by viewers like you. Thank you.
Actress Katy Mixon on this edition of Conversations. She is a classically trained actress with a drama degree from Carnegie Mellon University. Add to that a whole lot of charisma and a little Southern charm, and you see why Katy Mixon has become a success in Hollywood. She's played opposite some of the biggest names in show business. Her film resume includes Four Christmases with Reese Witherspoon and Vince Vaughn, State of Play with Russell Crowe, and All About Steve with Sandra Bullock. On television, she's Victoria Flynn on the CBS hit comedy Mike and Molly. She's also impressed viewers and critics for her role as April Buchanan on HBO's Eastbound and Down. We welcome Katy Mixon to Conversations. Thanks for joining us.
Happy to be here.
You have had a great deal of success recently in Hollywood, but before we get to that, tell me where it all started. When did the acting bug bite Katy Mixon?
I was in the 4th grade, and I was sitting in the living room at Tronjo Road, Pensacola, Florida, and I was introduced for the very first time, Funny Girl, with Barbara Streisand.
Okay.
And I was sitting there, and she was singing I'm the Greatest Star and, you know, playing Fanny Bryce. And it was that pivotal time that changed my perception on what truly I wanted to do. And here we are.
What did you do to start preparing for a career?
I come from an incredible family. I am a daughter and a sibling of 9. We have 6 girls and 1 boy in my family. It's amazing. The Von Trapp Family Singers / the Brady Bunch. It's brilliant. And I was introduced to entertainment. My mommy was 3rd runner-up to Miss Louisiana pageant, and my daddy was in a band, and my grandfather owned an outdoor movie theater, a drive-in movie theater, and it was kind of just in our genes. And so as I began to grow up through elementary and through middle school and high school, my mom and dad were incredible in the sense of facilitating an avenue for me to be able to do my dream. And my dream was to entertain. So if it meant kind of a pivotal time also, I would come home from school and watch the Mickey Mouse Club. And this was the whole crew with Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera. I'm their age. And so they had auditions in Orlando. And I just knew I was called to be on the Mickey Mouse Club. So I had gotten the gusto, and I had a meeting with Mommy, and we were sitting in the living room, and I said, they're having auditions in Orlando. And I said, we've got to go. I think that I'm supposed to do this. And at the time, Mommy looked at me and said, that's wonderful. That's not going to happen. And I was, crushed in the moment and all this kind of stuff. But my mommy she did not want to leave the other children. She did not want to sacrifice my other siblings' education or siblings, life, or all for me to be able to go be in Orlando and maybe go be on the Mickey Mouse Club. I hadn't even auditioned, so I don't even know if I would have made it. Right, but that was amazing. That was crucial. So, but going through all of that, I was completely involved in community theater.
Okay. I want to hear more about that, but before we do, let me ask you this. With your experience in Hollywood and all the things that you know right now, do you think it's a good idea to quote-unquote pursue being a child star, or do you think you're better off of getting your education, enjoying your childhood, and then pursuing it as an adult?
Jeff Weeks, I can only say what my experience has been. I think that it is incredible when, depending on the family, each situation is so different. And so, you know, being a child star, that might be an incredible situation. They're coming from a wonderful home, very balanced, very solid background. That's, you know, I can only speak from my perspective. And for me, the journey with staying in Pensacola, Florida, and being in community theater, and going the way of college and getting a degree, and then coming out into Hollywood, that was my destiny.
What did you learn as you were doing community theater along the way? What traits and what skills did you pick up that you use now?
Everything everything that has added to my life as it is today. Discipline, perseverance, an element of self-worth, an element of believing in myself, an element of knowing that there is nobody else like me, like you in this world, and that's powerful. That is a very, very powerful thing, and confidence. And the more and more I began to play these roles, just innate, just ability, God-given ability, and having that thrive and working on that as my craft, and just getting better and better and better, and learning from mistakes and continuing. That started, my goodness, I was in my very, very first role was Henrietta in Beanstalk with Minnie Maskers back in the day downtown. And I had this bowl cut. I looked like a little boy, and I had this little bowl cut. I played Henrietta, and I had to lay a golden egg on stage. And I just remember being fearless in that young. I remember being like, we gotta lay a golden egg, let's lay a golden egg. Like, I'm Jeff Weiss, I'm 11 years old, you know?
Right.
But I just, it started, and it started then. It started with me being able to, and an incredible mommy and daddy who absolutely set up the environment for me to create.
You said something kind of interesting, working on your craft, constantly working on your craft. So many people are caught up in the idea this day and age of, I want to be a star. But I think to be successful over a long period of time, you certainly have to be a good actor or actress. What do you do now to continue to hone your skills?
I think you always have to have the aspect of growing. You can never stop growing. You always have to be a student of yourself. You always have to learn and continue to say, all right, that was an interesting moment. What could I have done different? Could have known that line better. Could have known, had a better intention, could have had a better objective going in. They're gonna change it on the spot, all right. I can't let the outside chaos, which there is on a set, I can't let outside chaos. I have to remain unbelievably focused in what I'm doing. I have to be aware, but it's a very, I don't know how to even, it's hard to put it into words, but you have to be very, you just have to constantly be learning. You can never get comfortable. If you get comfortable, you're in trouble a little bit, because then if you start resulting in old habits, in old tricks, you just always want to constantly grow and constantly learn, and learn from others and learn from yourself, and recognize that didn't go too well. I recently had, we do pre-shoots with Mike and Molly. And pre-shoots are on Tuesday, and then for the audience, we shoot the whole thing, but sometimes they go ahead and do pre-shoots, and to make sure they got it, and then we'll shoot it again. There was this big scene with me and my dearest friend Melissa McCarthy, who plays Molly. And for some reason, my character comes in, does 5 scenes one week, 3 scenes the next, 2 scenes, 6 scenes. It's all different. And I got comfortable, and so there was just a lot going on, and it was pre-shoot, so it's just the crew. It's no audience, and it's no audience, and so I wasn't on it, And there's an aspect of me that, and I've kind of always had it if you talk to my mommy and daddy, where we're gonna wing it, and we're gonna wing it, and we're gonna make it happen. We're gonna make it happen. And they dig it, but I know it could have been better.
Yeah.
It could have been better. And so even though they're clapping and very gracious, and I have favor with them and they're loving it, could have done it better. Yeah. And so it took me. So anyway, Did the Pre-Shoot was just not on book completely. Now, granted, they're changing stuff constantly, but my concentration left that day.
Yeah.
Do you know?
And you have the ability, because of your experience, to pull it off, but you recognize the difference.
I know, I recognize the difference.
Yeah. And over time, that little small bit of polish makes a huge difference, doesn't it?
Completely. And so I had to, Jeff Weeks, I'm a very big fan of recognizing when something isn't authentic. Yeah. I'm very visceral, and I'm a person that just deals with, in this area, just deep and spontaneity and authentic, and can't fake it. Can't fake stuff, do you know? And so I recognized it. So I was like faking it a little bit, and it upset my spirit. And I had to go home that night, because I had to do it again, you know? Had to go home that night and just get real and say, all right, I cannot let the outside environment, I cannot let it affect me.
How do you get in tune with a character? Take, for example, your character on Mike and Molly. Is there somebody maybe you've met along the way that you pull bits and pieces from, or how does that come about for you?
She's completely made up.
Completely made up.
She's completely made up. So I haven't, you know, I haven't modeled her after anybody. Yeah. She's completely and utterly this character who has a heart of gold and who is a hot mess. So.
How much freedom do you have to work the character from what the writers give you?
I got a lot of freedom. That I am so blessed with Mr. Chuck Lorre and Mr. Mark Roberts and Jim Burrows. They believe in me. And I've said it in another interview, but it's like you're done with college football and you're going into the NFL, and we're in the pros.
Right.
And I am so grateful for them believing in me, and I feel that. So whenever somebody brings that kind of environment where it's creative and they believe in you and you believe in them, and they understand what you're going to bring to the character, that's incredible. That's all an actor can wish for. So it's interesting, though, in this situation, I have a lot of range of what I can do, but it's controlled in the sense of it's got to go into these certain parameters, basically.
Right,
do you know? Because it's a sitcom and you got to go quick, and you know. So, but they let me rock and roll. Yeah. I'm very blessed with I can come up. Mainly my first instinct, my first ideas, they get to keep in there.
Chuck Lorre obviously has some sort of magic. He's had an awful lot of success on television. I mean, 2.5 Men. What's his secret? Is it that he lets actors be actors?
You know, I think maybe his secret is he finds very specific people that can bring individual characters to life in a way that nobody else can, quickly, and they embody it quickly. Does that make sense? Because you know, sitcoms are an entity all their own. Right. And you know the story. I don't know if you know the story, but I back in 2000, I think it was 2008, 2009, I went in for 2.5 Men, random Wednesday. Had a tough year that year. It was 2009. We were up for about 10 movies. We had gone in for just so many different things. It was me and a redhead. It was we were down to the last gritty, me and a blonde. I mean, it was that kind of thing. Woo! And my heart was struggling, just struggling. In the sense of just like, I know it's out there. I know I'm supposed to do this. I know that this is my destiny. It's just the perseverance of it was getting me. On a random Wednesday, my dearest manager, Larry Tao, goes, honey, they want you to come in for 2.5 Men. It's a guest spot. What you think? I looked it over. I said, let's rock and roll. I said, let's go in for it. On the spot, I got it.
Wow.
So they said I went in for Chuck Lorre, Mark Roberts, all of them. And they said, would you hang on for just a second outside? Jeff Wakes, it never happens. You always have to leave the premises, and then you get the big call, and then it's hurrah, hooray. And they said, please wait outside. And I said, okay, got it on the spot. Went in there, did my little guest spot on 2.5 Men. And they came up to me, Chuck Lorre and Mark Roberts came up to me, and they said, are you free in January? And this is between the time of Eastbound and Down.
Okay.
It was between the first season, the second season. I had been released because they were going to go to Mexico, and I was going to come back though, and so it was crazy. But I was free. I was free at the moment to go, and I said, I'm free. They said, amazing to know. And then that's how. They said, we have a character for you. So that's the birth. That's the birthing of me being a part of Mike and Molly.
That's great. I have to ask you, Charlie Sheen obviously had all the personal problems, and I don't want to get into that because that's been covered more than enough. What was he like to work with as an actor?
He could not have been more kind. He could not have been more gracious. Mm-hmm. He knew his stuff. He knew his lines. I had a ball working with him. Yeah. Interesting.
With Mike and Molly, what do you think it is that makes that show successful?
It's unbelievably relatable.
Yeah.
People can just relate to it. It's a cast of characters where in a millisecond somebody can go, I know her.
Yeah.
I know that is my cousin's stepmommy right there. That is, I understand,
Yeah.
I think that it is such a beautiful way to show that love is universal.
Yeah. There seems to be so much pressure in Hollywood to look perfect and be so slim and whatnot, and these two characters obviously are not. Is that a good thing for society? Is that making us more open and?
Oh, with that they are not the normal like a normal
type
skinny
cast.
or.
Yeah, precisely. In other words, they're not just perfect. The perfect situation. I mean, they're overweight and they're. I mean, is that a good thing? I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I think in this situation, I think that we're not perfect.
Yeah. Well, it just seems to me there's so much pressure, particularly on women, on
Yes.
young women, about
Yes.
weight and things like that.
Yes.
So I guess the question is this show making it more acceptable?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it is making it more acceptable for people, for real life people who might not be so skinny, to have a voice, basically, where whatever we may be, small, tall, short, a little overweight, a lot overweight, that love is universal. And I think that out of anything, that's what it brings out. A beautiful couple who are trying to better themselves. Right. Anybody can relate to that.
Sure.
A wonderful couple and a wonderful individuals who are in Weight Watchers and weight,
Right.
Eaters Anonymous, Overeaters Anonymous, who are trying to better themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that anybody can relate to that. I know personally, myself, I refuse to let the media dictate my identity. I absolutely refuse. I know when I am not healthy. Everybody is different. Everybody has their own, their own limits, their own. I know when I'm not healthy. I know when I have put on 15 pounds, 25 pounds, it doesn't feel good on me. And I know that that's because it's manifesting in some other way. That's just, that's just me. But everybody's, different. But I just think it is so incredible that this wonderful sitcom that I get to be a part of is a celebration of humanity.
Yeah. A realness.
A realness.
Yeah. I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier about when you were up for 2.5 Men and you'd kind of been through a stage of rejection. How do you, obviously, no matter who you are, there's a lot of rejection in Hollywood. How do you deal with it?
God. I'm a very, very firm believer of that God had my destiny pre-told before I was born.
Really?
I'm a very firm believer that there's nobody else like me. Like I said, previously, there's nobody else like you. And that you get through it in the sense of, I know that I have been called to do this. I know that I have been called to bring joy to people, bring happiness to people, whatever it may be. I know that I have been called to be an entertainer. And so I think that when you cannot put your self-worth into other people. You cannot look to other people to make yourself feel worthy.
Right.
And so I have an incredible background and just solid foundation. And I owe it to my mommy and daddy. I owe it to my family. I owe it to my relationship with God. That that's where I live. That's where I come from. And I tell you, Jeff, it's always, you ask my mommy, it has always been like this. If I didn't get a role, it wasn't meant for me.
Right.
I could get, and part of it, most of it is the process. Getting the role is genius. I mean, that's the bonus of anything. But what you go as being like, all right, I learned something different about myself. All right, can't do that different. All right, I did everything possible known to man, and it wasn't for me. But guess what? They've called me in again. They're going to call me in for another role. They're going to call me in for another. So you never know. You never know. You just have to be present and be open and believe in yourself so very much in the sense of, all right, this is my destiny.
Yeah.
This is my destiny, and I'm going to walk this out.
And you just have to not give up, particularly in a business.
Well, my whole thing, Jeff, too, is like, either you're in it or not. Either you want to be on the train, or you got to get off the train. I mean, either you are, through tears and through disappointment and just rejection, like anything, knowing it's all right. This is adding to my tapestry. Right. This is adding to my beautiful journey. Yeah. You gotta look at it. You have to have a beautiful relationship. You have to cultivate a beautiful relationship with rejection. That is as an entertainer, as an actor, that is a crucial element, I believe.
But isn't that true with anything if you're going to be really successful?
Very much so. Whatever, whether you're taking care of animals, whether you're in a law firm, whether you're, whether you're working at Albertsons, you have to handle people being rude and people not liking you and people not, it's in every profession. Yeah. That's in every profession. Yeah.
Especially if you're going to be really good, if you're going to be at the top level.
Completely.
Absolutely. Let's talk about film. Do you enjoy doing television or film better?
I love both so very much. I love making movies. I love getting to be part of movies. The television, whether it, single camera, though Eastbound Down is a lot like making a movie. Mike and Molly is more of a theater aspect. So it all began in theater with me. So it's interesting in the sense of all of it just is so very different. And I full on, Jeff, I have such a love for every single facet of it. And that's, that was my goal. That was my goal when I went to Carnegie Mellon, but we'll get into that later,
Well, what did you take away? What did you learn at Carnegie Mellon? What's the most valuable thing you took away from there?
I think I'd always known what I wanted to do. And I always knew where I wanted to go. And it was not to be famous, Jeff. That was never my goal. That was never a star or I wanted to be able to make a living doing what I love to do.
Your passion.
Passion. It didn't matter whether I was doing dinner theater in Idaho. It didn't matter literally, I wanted to make a beautiful, wonderful living doing my passion. And so it's an interesting story how I got to, Carnegie Mellon and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if you want to go into that.
I've got a couple of minutes. If you can make it quick, tell us.
How it all happened was with Carnegie Mellon, I I got a big, massive award called the Federation for the Advancement in the Arts down in Miami, and I got it, and it was out of 800 people, and they chose 10 for musical theater, and we won it, and we went down to Miami. I was 17 years old at the time, my senior year, and we went in front of all the adjudicators, and they said, Miss Mixon, what do you want to do? This is the second semester of senior year, had not taken the SATs yet, and had not applied to any college, but knew what I wanted to do. So I looked at them and I said, I want to get versatile training in theater. I said, I do not want to go to just a tap school, a music school. I said, I want to be able to do Chekhov, do Brecht, do Shakespeare, do musical theater, but do Tennessee Williams. I wanted all of it. And Kenneth Washington, one of the owners and one of the amazing men of the Guthrie Theater, looked at me. He said, Katy Mixon, the Carnegie Mellon audition is in 3 days in Atlanta, Georgia. That's their last date. I came home and I said, Mommy, I'm going to audition for Carnegie Mellon. Mommy handed them a $100 check, and here we are today. So that's what happened. So I knew, so that's what.
I looked at the curriculum in that program, and it is extremely varied and extremely intense.
It's unreal. It has completely prepared me. Every single thing that I learned there, every single thing that I experienced has absolutely prepared me for what I'm doing today.
I have about 2 minutes.
Okay.
You're continuing on CBS television, Mike and Molly?
Yes.
More Eastbound and Down on
More
HBE?
Yes,
Okay.
come January.
All right. And what about the movie career? You got some stuff in the pipeline?
A movie that is coming out, I think, in the next week, called Take Shelter. Jeff Nichols directed it, and it won Critics Week over at Cannes. It won official selection at Sundance, and I play the character of Nat, and it's a psychological thriller, basically, so that's exciting.
Anything else we can look for in the relatively near future?
I don't think so, not right now, because my schedule, that's the television schedule. I don't have any time to do that.
I don't see how you get them in as it is.
No, you do it. Oh, actually, I do. I just totally forgot. I just finished doing a Soul Ties, which is a movie that I think is coming out next fall.
Okay.
I filmed that in Atlanta this summer and everything. But you got to fit it in and the hiatuses and everything.
I can imagine. As we look ahead over the next decade, where do we see Katy Mixon?
Hopefully, being able to be part of Broadway in New York, and hopefully being able to play roles that I have been having such a desire to play. I originally go, I get cast in comedy, and I get cast in, crazy characters and second banana characters. I would love to show, all different facets of, what I have longed to do, which is a range of all kind of different stuff.
Well, good for you. Best of luck, and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure. Katy Mixon, CBS Television, Mike and Molly, HBO, Eastbound and Down, and movies all over the silver screen. By the way, you can see us nowhere near as compelling, but perhaps you'll find it interesting. Some of our past episodes on WSRE.org/conversations. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the broadcast. I'm Jeff Weeks. Take good care of yourself. We'll see you soon.
Support for this program is provided in part by these corporate sponsors. And by viewers like you.